So nowadays, if you have a look at what's happening in the spiritual communities as a whole, it's just genuinely so fragmented. Um, you know, on the one hand, you got the non-dual guys pretty much saying nothing exists, we all one, so don't worry about anything. Then you got the new age guys who are literally like, manifest a Lambo, if you don't, it's your fault, you're doing something wrong. And it's so funny because a large portion of these theories are supposed to connect you with your God power within your heart and create this form of non-duality. But there's polarities in the essence of both of these mentalities. And I'll go on to explain this a bit more. So as I mentioned, if you look at a large portion of non-duality proponents, a large portion of them basically are saying, because we are one with God, and at the heart of it, we have God's essence. The deduction which they make is we are God. And on that premise, anything else which shows up is not you and therefore largely irrelevant. And to some degree, there's a degree of credence there. But on the other end, I think for most people, that's not the way the game's always working. So I'll give you an example, right? Let's say you take someone who's just had the biggest trauma of their lives, and you tell them to say, do self-inquiry. Now, just to let you know, I still do self-inquiry. I do think it has its place. But let's say you've just had someone who's had a traumatic accident. You tell them to do the general non-duality self-inquiry technique. Ask yourself, to whom is this trauma arising? Who is the one experiencing the trauma? Ask them to ask themselves, who am I? And look, I mean, there might be in some cases, there might be enough to snap people out, but I promise you, for most people, that's not going to alleviate the trauma straight away. I mean, it could provide some relief, but can you understand the problematic nature of a lot of these teachers? So they'll say, if you can't let go of that after asking that question, then there's something wrong with you. You're just attached. It's in your mind. But this whole game is happening at a multi-dimensional layer. It really is. You got the emotional layer, you got the mental layer, you got the spiritual layer, you got the energetic layer. They all kind of mesh to form one. But at the end of the day, I think the key here, which is missing from that whole thing, is we should have compassion. Let's say you feeling off. Take the trauma example. Let's say that person is feeling sad, they're feeling sorrow, they're feeling down. I'm not saying that that feeling or that thought or that whole narrative is them, because the truth is it's actually not. But let's put it this way. Although the experience could theoretically be an illusion, it still makes sense to send love towards the illusion, feel the inner reaction to the illusion, and basically immerse it with compassion and allow the innermost depth of your heart to alchemize it. So a good example, as I said, with the trauma stuff. So that person, let's say they're feeling down, they're feeling sorry about that, they're feeling really sad. I'm not saying that they are that sadness, because they're not, but to them, that experience is real. And to tell someone that that experience isn't real, as I say, that message may land differently with some people. To some people, when they figure out its illusion, maybe they let go of it. But in most cases I've seen, when that feeling's there, just saying it's fake doesn't always help alchemize that. From my own perspective, something which has worked with me, and I suggest you all to try your own different methods and see what works for you. But what's really worked for me is, there might be some days where, I don't know, maybe something from the past comes up. Because I've done enough meditation, I've worked deep within to know a large portion of what we are seeing on the outside is an illusion. And even to a large degree, some facets of the inner can also be an illusion. So, when I'm having those intense feelings, a part of me knows it's an illusion. But by me just saying, oh yeah, it's an illusion, it doesn't always clear it. Like that's the honest truth. Like that's just been for me. But what's really worked for me is really just having a middle ground approach, in the sense that I'm going to acknowledge, even though this could be an illusion, I'm going to acknowledge the feelings behind this. I'm going to send love towards those feelings, and I'm going to allow my love essence to alchemize. That's what I do within, and on the law of attraction on the law of attraction side, there's other problems as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a large amount of truth behind the law of attraction, but telling people that every single feeling, every single thought is going to create an outcome, that's not the way the game works. This is a multivariance equation. By creating that mindset, you're going to deploy a fear of thoughts in their head, you're going to deploy a fear of their emotions, and ultimately being at peace with all the emotions, being at peace with all the thoughts, sending love towards all of them, accepting them, immersing them with the compassion and love of your heart is what's really going to alchemize it. It's what's really going to uplift your frequency. And ironically, that's going to be what actually creates the reality which these law of attraction new age people are preaching. And the other thing, my other problem with the law of attraction is a large portion of these people are telling you, go out into the world, manifest that business, manifest that car, manifest that relationship. There's nothing wrong with comfort in your life, but you have to understand a large portion of these things are part of the earthly narrative. They are not who you are. The one who manifests the external is the essence of love. The ego may convince you that you've somehow done this, but the power, if you think about it, you manifest something in the external, that had a power source. That power source is you. And it's connected in correspondence with the true God of your heart, the source of innermost love of your heart. That's where that power is coming from. So even if you say I've manifested something, the truth is the power of love has basically sprung out into this reality and manifested that. So this whole thing of, creating such an onerous responsibility for you to be overly controlling of your external reality, and fearing every thought, fearing every feeling, because it's don't get me wrong, it is good to try keep your thoughts pure, try alchemize as much emotions as you can within. But the truth is, day to day, I've not met one person who is high vibrational 24/7. I've not met one person who has pristine thoughts 24/7. And ultimately, if that is the case, how is it that a lot of people are getting these external Lambos or whatever they preach? Evidently, there's more factors to this equation. And I urge anyone, if you're very in the law of attraction, don't get me wrong, there is some truth to it, and I still do use some of those laws in the sense I really do try to cultivate positive thoughts, positive emotions through meditation, through affirmations, through even subliminal affirmations, or true program the subconscious, and do improve your feelings. I do the Sedona method. I do focus on that. But end of the day, the stage I'm at now is just sending love towards it all, allowing it all, and just allowing. There's a good saying I say, even so, I allow peace to flow. That's my latest saying. And it's just so beautiful, because that kind of reminds you that you aren't the character trying to control or manifest. You're really not that character which says, oh, I must manifest a Lambo, I must get that job, I must get that relationship. Because the thing is, my other problem with the law of attraction and the New Age movement is they're trying to get you so focused on the external. But as I said, focus on the inner to begin with. Just focus on drawing your attention back to peace, back to the love in your heart. And this is something I will say, I promise you, the heart will overcome the mind 24/7. That is a fact. Your heart's magnetic field is literally, from memory, it's thousands times stronger. It's thousands or hundreds. You can look at the heart math study. I'm not sure the exact number, but it is substantially stronger than your mental field. So a large amount of the New Age is saying, oh, think about that, and think. But the truth is, in my opinion, your true brain is your heart, because that's where your love is. Don't get me wrong, everything is love, but we need to focus more on the heart. I promise you, if you manifest from the heart, it's going to be so much more beautiful and so much better than anything external. And if you're not sure what to focus on, my personal view on it is literally just focus on your heart. Just say, you know what, right now I choose peace, love, joy from my heart, and just see what happens. Just allow it, as opposed to thinking about it 24/7, because that whole notion can get you to play into this earthly narrative so much. Like, oh yeah, get the relationship, get the car, get the career. What happens once you have all that? What, you know, at the end of the day, I promise you, don't get me wrong, these things can be beautiful. You can have a fulfilling career. You can have a beautiful partner where there's, you know, a great love shared. I'm not saying you shouldn't do these things, but when that's your external focus, I don't agree with it. And that's most of the New Age stuff I've seen is that. So I guess it's all the perspective. Both of these schools of thought have their truths to them. But I guess the point of this video is to remember the middle ground of just adjusting the lens of your perception across each of these. Everything is so great. Everything is just so great. So don't go listen to the teacher and think you're doing something wrong if you can't manifest, or on the non-dual side, if you can't just detach from everything and you're doing so. Like, there's so much gray to this. And another thing I want to point out is, yes, you can do all these, you know, techniques, these non-dual techniques, the law of attraction, but don't forget middle ground. Like, end of the day, I'll give you a good example. The non-dual school of thought says, don't do anything, just sit on your couch, or some. I'm not saying, I don't want to generalize, but some of the videos I've watched literally say, if you want to self-realize, just sit on the couch, do nothing, and allow. And like, quite honestly, for most people doing that, I don't know if with all people there's enough space within to have that realization. So my view on it is, just have a set of habits, and this is just what has worked for me, which cultivate enough space to just allow for those beautiful downloads from true God or source, or whatever you want to call it, and the beautiful downloads from the energy within your heart. And to do that, from my perspective, I do think there needs to be a bit of space inside. And, you know, this means what's really worked for me, and this is why I talk about the importance of middle ground, is, you know, doing exercise. Going for a jog literally augments my energy so much. Doing grounding, really just neutralizing any energies in your field which may be getting to you. Doing meditation, you know, setting time aside every single day for meditation. Cleaning up your diet, avoiding things and foods which are bad for you. I promise you, people overlook these subtle programs. Like, they all so set on like the Matrix, this, that. The Matrix is getting most people through their phones, through their food. Like, food's such an overlooked one. I'm going to make a separate video on this because it is just so massive. Through their phone, through their food, through their roles. So through their societal roles, like, oh, I'm a husband, I must do this. I'm a banker, you know, the corporate career, I must do this. You know, getting locked in the story, so that's another thing. But as I said, there's middle ground to those things too. It doesn't mean you can't be a loving partner. It doesn't mean you can't do your best. You need to just approach everything middle ground. But the practical habits, I promise you, through just exercising every day, meditating every day, doing some form of subconscious reprogramming, whether that's, you know, affirmations, whether that's subliminal affirmations, or paraliminals is another way, another powerful tool I use. I still do those things. And yeah, ultimately the practical things of exercising, diet, and meditation, even if those are the only three things you do, in my own opinion, that is how I came to a lot of truth. And I just repeated that every single day. But now you have some people in the non-dual community saying, oh yeah, well, that's a program in itself, because you're operating from the ego and repeating habits, and the real you, which is love, doesn't have to do anything. And as I say, there's some truth to that, because we are just love, and there is a degree of truth to that. But at the same time, we also are inhibiting a meat suit, because you are spirit, you're the beautiful energy which you know, which animates your heart. But at the same time, we are inhabiting a meat suit. We do need that middle ground of, okay, I'm going to address my body to some degree. I know that doing meditation optimizes my brain, optimize my energy. I know that grounding optimizes my energy. I know that exercise optimizes my energy. And I know that keeping a positive diet is going to stop those blood sugar spikes, which is going to keep my energy as well. When people eat a huge meal, they often just say, oh, I'm going to go sleep now. And they say it so lightly. They say it so lightly, but let that sink in. They are saying they are tired, but tired means that the energy is dropped. There's a metaphysical component there as well. This is what people need to realize. So this is what I'm saying. Like, honestly, there's a lot of messages going around. My view on it is, and on the same end, I also do understand why some people say, don't get so stuck in the habits, you know, like, because you can also create an identity out of that. If you become the spiritual guy who just meditates and that's your escape and whatever, and you know that is all the way you see yourself, you create a separate spiritual identity. I can understand the dangers in that, but at the same time, it's also just a good habit to do, which can help you. Like, I cannot understand, each person's path is different, but meditation has been the single most thing which has helped me. And I want to make it clear, I think a key thing with meditation is the goal is to embody the presence, love, and peace of the meditation which you've cultivated in your day-to-day life. So I guess the goal of meditation should be, what I often say is your meditation starts when your meditation ends. So really, if you think about it this way, through meditating, after that, you don't want to create an identity like, oh, I'm the meditation guy or whatever. It's just a beautiful tool you're using to connect you with God. And from that tool, it's a skill, and you're going to embody that skill in your day-to-day life after the meditation. And you know what? Even if you don't embody it after and you're struggling, at the same time, it's a fantastic way to clear your mind, create new positive neural pathways to heal. And yeah, I mean, this is just my view on it. I think there's a lot of messages going around. I don't know anyone who's just asked, who am I? And they've somehow transcended to the 16th dimension or whatever stuff they're saying nowadays. I don't know. But yeah, this is what I'm saying. Just please remember, there's always middle ground. Do what works for you. What I'm trying to point to is a lot of this stuff's gray. And please don't overlook the practical habits. A very huge portion of what allows you to stay in that higher vibrational frequency, in my own experience, is those practical habits. Have some middle ground in this game. And yeah, I mean, obviously just follow the own guidance of your heart as well. But as I've mentioned, such a key part of this is to create that space. Create that space. And part of creating that space is through all of those things I've mentioned. So anyway, I just thought I had to talk about this because there's a lot of polarization going on, and there's a lot of guru syndrome going on where apparently some person knows the answers. I can tell you right now, please, if anything I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, please question it. This is the key message here. Please question it. Please question it. Because you know yourself best. You wrote your own book. This stuff you're seeing, all these programs you know in your life, all these facets in your life, even your own mind, you know your own mind best. Please just do what works for you. Have openness to try each person's opinion, but please follow your heart and do what works for you. Don't listen to one single person. Don't get drawn into one single opinion. Have the middle ground. And yeah, I wish you guys all the best. As always, I hope you have an always good week, always good new year. And yeah, just keep doing your situational best. Keep it up.